Have you ever been in one of those situations where you just feel completely powerless?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Maybe like a really tough conversation,
Yeah.
or you're giving a big presentation, or even just feeling like nobody's really hearing you. It happens more than you'd think.
It really does. It's such a universal feeling, isn't it?
Totally. I actually heard these two strangers the other day just sharing their little tricks, ways they try to cope when they feel like that. Got me thinking.
That drive to find some control, even in small ways, it's fundamental.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're digging into today, this idea of presence.
Right. What it actually is, where it comes from.
And how building it up might be a way, maybe even a simple way, to fight back against that powerless feeling.
Mm-hmm.
We're drawing heavily from the book, Presence, bringing your boldest self to your biggest challenges.
And the author's own story is pretty central to it all.
Yeah, her recovery from a brain injury, the way it affected her IQ, it really shaped her whole take on this and makes it very personal and relatable.
It really grounds the concept, doesn't it? Shows that it's not about some external thing, but an inner resource.
Exactly. So our mission here is basically to pull out the key ideas about presence from the book, make them clear, and maybe give you something you can actually use.
Because the promise is that understanding this can genuinely help you feel less stuck, less overwhelmed in those difficult moments.
Okay, let's jump in. What is presence, actually, according to the book?
Well, at its heart, it seems to be about really believing in yourself, like trusting your genuine feelings, your values, your actual abilities.
So self-trust is the starting point.
Yeah, the book really hammers that home. If you don't trust yourself, it's hard for others to trust you, right? It's that foundation.
Makes sense, like building on sand otherwise.
Mm.
And the author connects this directly to those moments that trip us up.
Exactly. Public speaking and job interviews, tricky negotiations.
Even just speaking up for yourself.
Right. Those times when powerlessness can just swamp you. Presence is positioned as that inner strength you need to navigate them.
You mentioned the author's brain injury. She talks about her IQ dropping quite a bit.
Yeah, and feeling like she just wasn't smart anymore. It's a really stark illustration of feeling powerless, losing something core to your identity.
Wow. And it wasn't just her own feeling, was it? Friends actually said things.
Yeah, apparently friends told her, "You're just not the same," which must have been incredibly hard to hear.
Oh, absolutely. Talk about amplifying the confusion, the anxiety.
Totally. It creates this disconnect, not just inside yourself, but also worrying about how everyone else sees you.
The book calls it a discombobulated mental state. I like that term.
Yeah, like your brain's just buzzing. Right, what do they think? What did I say? What will I say?
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And it makes it impossible to actually be there in the moment.
Exactly. All that mental energy gets diverted away from what's happening right now.
Which brings us to nonverbals, body language and stuff. The book mentions Paul Ekman's work.
Right, on how a lot of emotional expressions are universal across cultures.
It's wild, isn't it? How much we can read on someone's face without a word being spoken.
It is. And it ties into presence, because if you're trying to fake it, if you're being inauthentic...
You're trying to manage two different stories in your head.
Pretty much. Your real feelings versus the face you're putting on. And that takes effort, a lot of cognitive load.
And sometimes it slips out. The truth.
That's the idea of leakage. Little nonverbal cues, a twitch, averted eyes, weird posture, they can give away the inner conflict.
There's that story about the medical student in Turkey, the one who stuttered.
And felt he had to hide it. It's such a common thing, isn't it? Feeling like parts of ourselves are flaws we need to conceal.
Yeah. But the book kind of flips that, suggesting maybe these challenges, they become part of our authentic self. Like the author's injury shaped her perspective.
Exactly. It raises that question, are these things we really want to erase, or are they part of what makes us uniquely who we are?
Which leads nicely into authenticity at work, right? The book argues that bringing your real self actually boosts happiness and performance.
Yeah, there's that study from the Indian call center. When they encouraged employees to tap into their authentic best selves, engagement went up.
It's like trying to force everyone into the same mold just doesn't work as well.
Right. It stifles that connection, that motivation.
Kind of like the ballet dancer analogy in the book. Technical skill is one thing.
But not enough to be truly captivating.
Yeah, the principal dancers, they connect with the music, the story, the audience. It's something more.
Mikko Nissanen called it the strength to be there. He talks about seeing Baryshnikov and how he was just completely in it.
That's presence, right. And Julianne Moore's take is interesting too. For actors, she says relaxation is key.
which seems counterintuitive maybe. You'd think tension helps create emotion.
Apparently not always. She felt relaxation allows the real emotion, the nuance, to come through naturally. Less forced.
So it's about letting go of that tight control sometimes.
But wait, does this mean we just ditch preparation? Just show up and hope for the best?
No. The book is clear on that. Preparation still matters. Like Karen Dillon's advice about having small narratives ready for interviews.
Right. Having some structure gives you confidence.
Exactly. It frees up your mind to actually be present during the interview instead of scrambling for answers.
But then there are times when prep isn't really possible, or you don't know what's needed. Like Julianne Moore's audition for Safe.
Yeah, she just had to go with her gut feeling for the character, trust her instincts, and be okay with the outcome, whatever it was.
Trusting yourself again. And accepting that feelings, even hitting a wall, are temporary.
Mm-hmm. That acceptance seems really important.
Okay, so switching gears slightly.
Yeah.
How we connect with others. The book brings up two key questions we ask ourselves subconsciously.
Right. When we meet someone new, first, can I trust this person? That's about warmth. And second, can I respect this person? Competence.
And we judge warmth first, instinctively.
Apparently so. Oscar Ybarra's research suggests we process warmth-related info faster. Probably an evolutionary survival thing, right? Is this person friend or foe?
Makes sense. Like Jeffrey Brown's work with gang members in Boston.
Oh, that's a powerful example. He said trust had to come way before anything else.
They needed to know the ministers weren't just there to use them or push an agenda.
Exactly. Consistency, showing up, proving they were trustworthy. Without that, no dialogue was possible.
So trust is like the pipeline for influence.
Yeah, and presence is how that trust gets built. The book says even great ideas mean nothing if people don't trust the source.
Warmth opens the door even if competence isn't immediately obvious.
Right. But competence without trust doesn't get you very far. They're interconnected through presence.
And Jeffrey Brown also learned about listening, didn't he? Not just preaching.
Huge lesson. They started really listening to the kids, understanding their reality. That shifted everything.
And it led to the Boston Miracle, that big drop in youth violence.
Largely attribute it to those efforts, yeah. Shows what happens when presence involves genuine listening and empathy.
Okay, let's tackle something many of us grapple with. Imposter syndrome.
Ah, yes. That feeling.
The author is really open about feeling like a fraud early on. That, can't keep this up feeling.
It's so common, isn't it? Even when things are going well, you enjoy the work, you get rewards. That nagging doubt can still be there.
Yeah, like something's wrong if it feels okay. And that story about the physics student.
Oh, heartbreaking. Being told she didn't belong because of her background, then being exploited.
That kind of thing leaves scars, doesn't it? Really damages your self-worth.
Deeply. And feeds right into that imposter feeling no matter what you achieve later.
And this fear of being found out, it makes us constantly watch ourselves.
Yeah, that excessive self-monitoring. Which, ironically, distracts you and can make your performance worse.
It's a vicious cycle. You're so busy worrying about messing up that you can't focus.
Exactly. It eats up your mental bandwidth.
The author talked about this in her TED Talk too, right? Feeling like she didn't deserve to be there after the injury.
Mm-hmm. And how much that resonated with people. Then her own student at Harvard says, I'm not supposed to be here.
Wow. Just shows it hits people everywhere, even at the top.
It really highlights how pervasive it is and how important it is to realize you're not alone in feeling that way.
The book then draws a line between personal power and social power. What's the difference there?
Personal power is more internal. It's the confidence to act based on your own beliefs and values, feeling like your actions authentically represent you.
So it's about inner alignment and effectiveness.
Pretty much. Whereas social power is more about influence over others, status, control, external stuff.
And the key point is, personal power comes first.
Right. Building personal power can lead to more social power, but that's a side effect, not the goal. Feeling powerless, though, directly attacks that self-trust you need.
So focusing only on getting social power might even backfire, make you less authentic.
Could do. Cultivating personal power is about building from a stronger, more genuine core.
Okay, let's talk anxiety. The book mentions an anxiety paradox. What's that?
It's maddeningly simple, really. If you're anxious about making a bad impression,
Yeah.
that very anxiety can actually shut down the parts of your brain you need to make a good impression.
Oh, wow. So it's totally counterproductive?
Completely. It messes with your executive functions, reasoning, thinking flexibly, paying attention, your working memory.
Like your brain's command center getting overloaded.
Exactly. All the stuff you need to navigate tricky situations just gets impaired by the anxiety about those situations.
And then there's the spotlight effect, feeling like everyone's watching you.
Yeah, and usually judging you harshly. We massively overestimate how much attention people are paying to our flaws.
That egocentric bias,
Yeah,
it just fuels the anxiety, doesn't it?
for sure. Makes it even harder to be present. I liked the example of the teacher who shifted her focus.
From what do they think of me to what are they thinking about the material?
Exactly. Getting out of your own head.
Okay, so what happens when we do feel powerful? What are the upsides?
Well, apparently, feeling powerful makes people more forgiving, more likely to see others as friendly.
Less defensive.
Yeah, and more willing to just be open and express what they really think and feel. It kind of lowers the guard.
And it helps align thoughts, feelings, and actions. Brings you closer to presence.
That's what some research suggests. Like in those discussions with strangers, people primed to feel powerful showed more congruence between their nonverbals and what they said they were feeling.
Internal alignment. Makes sense. And it makes you more likely to act, like turning on the fan or going first in a debate.
Yeah, those scenarios showed a clear link between feeling powerful and taking initiative, being more assertive.
Even how you interpret anxiety changes.
Right. Feeling powerful can make you see competitive nerves as helpful, performance enhancing, while feeling less powerful makes you see them as crippling. Mindset is huge.
And it connects to actual performance through self-efficacy, that belief you can do it.
Absolutely. Believing you can succeed makes success more likely.
The book even touches on the physiology, hormones.
Yeah, briefly. It links higher testosterone and lower cortisol, the stress hormone, to what it calls responsible power. Things like assertiveness, resilience, being team-focused, giving good feedback. It suggests a kind of balanced hormonal profile for effective, non-tyrannical power. Confidence without excessive stress.
Interesting. Okay, now for something visually striking. The haka.
Ah, the All Blacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, intense stuff.
Most people just see it as intimidation, right? A war dance before the rugby match.
And it definitely projects power, but the book points out it's much more than that in Maori culture. It's used for peace, welcoming, funerals. It has deep meaning.
Even the specific versions like kamade or kapopango.
They have specific histories and significance.
Yeah.
And gestures we might see as aggressive, like the neck slitting motion,
Yeah.
can symbolize drawing vital energy into the body. So it's complex, not just let's scare the other team.
So maybe it's also about the players themselves feeling powerful, centering themselves.
That seems very plausible. A way to collectively embody strength and focus before a challenge.
Which ties right into body language and power generally. Feeling powerful makes us expand.
Yeah, take up more space. It's pretty universal across the animal kingdom, too. A dominance display.
We might not fan our tails like peacocks.
Huh? No. Social norms constrain us a bit more, but the underlying principle is there.
And power even changes how we see height. We think we're taller, others shorter.
Subtly, yeah. It warps our perception a little, shows how deep that feeling goes.
And those big victory poses, arms up, chest out.
They're recognized everywhere. The idea is they might not just communicate status, but actually trigger internal physiological changes too. Boost confidence.
And people see pride displays as signs of competence.
Right. It signals capability.
Even our voice changes. Feeling powerful makes it deeper.
Yeah, the frequency tends to drop. Sounds bigger, more authoritative, while anxiety often makes the pitch go up.
Interesting. Now, what about gender differences in body language? Men taking up more space, women less.
The book acknowledges that observation, yes, but it really stresses that these differences are likely more about power dynamics and social conditioning.
Than purely biology.
Exactly. It's more learned behavior reflecting societal structures than some fixed male-female thing.
But here's the really cool bit.
Yeah.
Body language doesn't just talk to others. It talks back to us.
That's the kicker. The feedback loop. Our posture influences how we feel, which might be part of the haka's power for the players themselves.
Like that surfer, E. Fairbanks, realizing decisions create confidence. Acting confident can make you feel confident.
Exactly. It highlights that mind-body connection William James wrote about ages ago. They're intertwined.
There's that study comparing yoga and therapy for PTSD.
Yeah, where yoga had more lasting positive effects. Shows the body's role in healing the mind.
And other weird examples. Holding a pen in your teeth makes things seem funnier.
Or paced breathing calms you down. Botox might even dull emotions slightly. The body constantly shapes the mind.
Okay, but what about modern life? Eye posture.
Ah, the text neck. The slump over our devices.
It causes physical pain, headaches, but psychological stuff too.
Yeah, the book argues it can decrease confidence, make us seem more submissive. There was that experiment where hunched people waited longer to speak up.
Wow. So our phone habits might be making us less assertive.
Potentially, yeah. Something to think about.
But even imagining good posture helps. The story about Christine.
Right, she couldn't physically do power poses, but imagined them vividly and still felt more assertive.
And the brain science backs that up. Imagining movement activates similar brain areas.
It does. Studies show imagining expansive poses boosts positive feelings, energy, confidence. Imagining contractive poses brings up negative ones, fear, vulnerability.
The mind is incredibly powerful here, even without the physical action sometimes.
Absolutely. Visualization can have real effects.
This all leads to the idea of nudges. Small changes, big impact.
Exactly, like Shannon doing the Wonder Woman pose in the shower before a tough day, a personal nudge.
And the concept comes from behavioral science, right? Like, power, using smiley faces to get people to save energy.
Gentle pushes that guide behavior without forcing it. They work because they're easy. They tap into social influence.
And the idea that attitudes often follow behavior. Act confident, feel confident.
Right. So we can use self-nudges, these small, intentional actions like power posing to influence our own state.
So it's not about massive overnight transformation.
No, it's about incremental change. Small, consistent efforts. Nudging yourself towards being a bit more present, a bit more courageous each time.
The book gives some practical tips then, like moving around when speaking.
Yeah, intentionally using space, not just nervous pacing. It helps you feel more grounded, more engaged.
And noticing what makes you shrink, physically or mentally.
Becoming aware of your triggers. Maybe setting posture reminders on your phone, using the device as an ally for once.
Good point. And recognizing that rushing and shrinking under pressure is counterproductive.
Totally. You need to access that personal power to consciously slow down, breathe, and expand instead of contract.
The book ends with lots of real-life examples, doesn't it?
Yeah, a whole range. The consultant landing a contract, the student speaking up in class, the vet dealing with PTSD, the person facing homelessness, even a horse trainer.
It shows how widely applicable these ideas are. And that final story about workplace harassment.
Using the power pose before confronting the boss, it didn't magically solve everything, but it helped her access her stronger self, feel more empowered in that moment.
So to kind of wrap things up, presence comes from self-trust, authenticity. Powerlessness messes with our minds and bodies. Nonverbals and listening build trust. Imposter syndrome is real but manageable. And small changes in posture and mindset, these nudges, can make a real difference.
It's about recognizing that intricate connection between how we hold ourselves, how we feel inside, and how we navigate the world, and that we have some agency to shift it bit by bit.
Which brings us to a final thought for you listening. Just consider, is there one small way you could consciously shift your posture, or maybe just your mindset, in a situation you know might be challenging soon?
Doesn't have to be huge, just a little tweak.
What difference might that tiny intentional change make? How might it affect how you feel, how you show up?
It's worth experimenting with, finding what works for you. It's an ongoing process, this cultivation of presence.
Definitely something to reflect on. Paying attention to those small shifts can lead to bigger changes over time.